Alright, welcome to Tribulation 515, 2011. We are now on day 356. We're less than 10 days away from the 1-year anniversary of the start of Tribulation 515, 2011. What does it all mean? Well, you know what? We may well find out. You know, we're living in the most amazing of times. You know, anybody that doesn't realize that by now, I would say I put them into the category of clueless. You know, got their head in the sand, or you know, maybe worse. But you know, here we are, 9 days away from the 1-year anniversary, and you know, there's all sorts of cool, amazing stuff that's right in front of us. You know, we got the supermoon coming up this Saturday, and there's all sorts of crazy alignments that are happening along with it. And then and I think that's on the 6th. So then you know, actually, let me make sure I got my dates right for you. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, that's like the 5th or the 6th. We're having this supermoon, and then you know, the 1-year anniversary of this blog, which happens to coincide with Venus going into retrograde. And then, you know, we have May 20th coming up, where there's going to be a huge lunar eclipse, an alignment with Pleiades. You know, it's been prophesied about in Nostradamus by the Mayans. You know, what's going to happen on that day? We'll find out. But, you know, it just doesn't stop there. You know, you got the June 6th transit of Venus, and you know, everything about this year is just amazing. You know, July has 5 Fridays, 5 Saturdays, and 5 Sundays. There's more Friday the 13th in 2012 than any year ever before. You know, just time and time again, there are once-in-a-lifetime, you know, weird stuff. So you gotta kind of ask yourself, you know, is it all a coincidence that it's all happening this year? You know? And, you know, you could drink a cup of Kool-Aid and stick your head back into the sand and say, you know, it's all coincidence. But, you know, I tell you, my friends, to all my viewers and watchers, and if this is your first time to the channel, you know, welcome. But if you have been with me on my journey, you know, at this point, you can't say it's all coincidence, because there's just too much stuff that's been happening. And of course, you know, one thing I told you for the last 2 blogs, you know, I've kind of had a format where I hit you with a lot of doom and gloom, telling you that the world is spiraling downwards into chaos. But, you know, that's kind of getting to be old hat. And, you know, there are plenty of other people out there, you know, telling you, hey, man, here's some more crazy, horrific stuff that's coming. You know, tsunamis, California falling into the ocean. And, you know, who knows? That could happen. You know, kind of like May 20th, you know, like, some people are like, oh, nothing's going to happen. Well, I'll just tell you, you know, from all the science, to me, I'd say there's a pretty good potential for an earthquake. But, you know, who knows? You know, the activity on the sun's been going bonkers. You know, the sun is kind of reversing polarity, and I think that it went into this thing called quadrupoles. You know, I'm not really a NASA scientist, so I can't explain any of it. But, you know, once again, the evidence is overwhelming, you know, and I don't really even want to, you know, focus on that so much, because everybody else is, you know, all the volcanoes going off, the craziness around the world, you know, the people being murdered in the streets, you know, the violence in the Middle East, the Occupy Wall Street movement, you know, rioting, and, you know, they just arrested 5 dudes in Michigan, I think it was. They were trying to blow up a bridge. You know, there's animal kill-offs happening all over the place, you know, diseases breaking out. You know, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. But there's plenty of people talking about all that, so I really don't need to, you know, focus on that. But, you know, what I will tell you is there's a lot of things being revealed, you know, in this time that we're in. Both good and bad. And, you know, I'm going to tell you from my own personal, you know, testimony, you know, my eyes have been opened, and, you know, I'm seeing amazing things every day, both good and bad. And, you know, I kind of talked last time about that there's a lot of hope out there, you know, especially if you're a child of the light, you know, if you believe in God. You know, each and every one of us has to kind of decide, you know, what side you want to be on, you know. And I'll just use an example. It's kind of like Star Wars, you know. There was the good side, and there was the dark side. You know, the good side had the green laser light swords, and the bad side, I think, had the red laser light swords. Now, personally, me, I am stupefied, because I really don't know why anybody would want to join the dark side. Because, you know, if you watched Star Wars, the dark side loses. It always does. You know, good triumphs, man, you know. And I know a lot of the people that don't believe in God, you know, at this point they maybe roll their eyes, but, you know, that's okay. But, you know, I'd rather be on the good side, you know, because at the end of the Star Wars trilogy, you know, all those people are celebrating, you know, because the evil emperor and all the deceit and, you know, sinister forces that are sneaking around get crushed. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not going to make one last stand, you know, to retain power. In fact, when you look around the world, that's kind of what's happening, you know, and I've talked about that, how, you know, the world we've been living in is a pyramid of power, you know, where there's one person at the top trying to control everybody down at the bottom. And that's one reason why, you know, the good news is all that stuff's going to go away, because that's what's killing this world. But what you'll find is, you know, as we head into the paradigm shift where the pyramid gets flipped on its head or just gets removed completely, you know, there's all sorts of deception, you know, because sinister forces, that's how they work, you know. They won't be truthful. They won't come out into the light, you know. They like to work, you know, and the most common form of deception is they try and give you something that's so close to the truth, you don't quite know what the truth is. So, you know, here's a truth. You know, it's kind of like our presidential elections. You know, for years, you know, I stopped voting in 1982 because, you know, when Bill Clinton got into office, and, you know, I'm not saying Bill Clinton is some super evil dude. You know, only God knows that. I don't judge people. But I felt like the election got corrupted because a dude by the name of Ross Perot stepped in and sucked away just enough of the vote to where Bill Clinton actually got elected with less than a majority. You know, he only got like 47% of the vote. And I just said, well, that's it. You know, democracy is busted. There's no point in voting. And I actually came out of voting to vote against Barack Obama. Had nothing to do, you know, I actually dug the fact that he was going to be our first black president. That was the one thing I actually liked about it, because it was, you know, about time America elected a black president. But did I agree with any of his policies? No, not at all. But, you know, the point I'm getting to, it's kind of like this election that we're having right now. You know, you'll have our beloved President Obama on one hand telling you how evil the Republicans are, and how they want to, you know, beat old ladies over the head and starve children. And then you got, you know, the Republicans, Mitt Romney, telling you that Obama's, you know, evil incarnate. And, you know, he's trying to, you know, bring about world communism and enslave all of us. And you know what? They're both probably right. But the truth of it is, you know, if we keep voting for the lesser of two evils, you know, right now in this election, we got a choice of bad and worse, you know. And if that's what democracy is about, I don't want no part of it. So, in my opinion, it really doesn't matter who you vote for, because you know, there's no winning here, you know. And you know, once again, I'm stupefied because, you know, Americans, millions of us, you know, are walking around going, how come nothing's getting done? How come nothing's getting fixed? Well, you know, if you keep supporting a system that's broke and corrupt from top to bottom, nothing's gonna get fixed. You know, the people at the top of the pyramid, the principalities and high places, the Illuminati, the Freemasons, you know, the people with the money, you know, because that's what controls our elections. Money, power. They love it, you know, and they're the ones that make the commercials that keep saying, keep on voting. You know, and they're the ones that will throw out there, you know, it's your patriotic duty to vote. And if you don't vote, you're not being patriotic. Well, you know what? That's just another deception, because, you know, if you really understand how the world works, and the world pretty much sucks and is broken, but, you know, nationalism, you know, being proud of your country, you know, everybody's proud. Americans are proud of being Americans, and Japanese are proud of being Japanese, and, you know, Germans are proud of being Germans, but nationalism in the long run is just another force that is used against the masses to get us to hate each other and kill each other. Because if you look at wars, that's kind of how they break down. You know, it's Americans versus Germans, or Japanese against Chinese, or whatever. But guess what? We're all humans. We're all brothers and sisters, you know. So, you know, personally, I really don't care about nationalism, you know. It's my patriotic duty. And you know what? I don't have a duty, you know, really, seriously. I mean, I'm proud to be an American, but, you know, in our country, they'll say, you know, the will of the people. But, you know, wake up. Hello, McFly. You know, if you're telling me the will of the people is being done, nah. You know, Washington's clueless. They could care less what the will of the people is. And you know what? There's a greater truth beyond the will of the people, which is the will of God. So, you know, saying the will of the people is for the betterment of mankind, no, it isn't. Because I'll tell you honestly, the will of the people, you know, without God, the will of the people is not good. You know, it's, you know, even the majority of people are subject to what I would call the carnal forces in life, you know, because without God, you know, we start breaking down to where we're no better than a dog or you know, a cat. You know, animals are driven by what you call carnal emotions, you know, fear, hate. You know, they don't even know what they're doing, you know, like when animals are bad in front of you, like my dog will sit there and hump my leg. He doesn't know what the heck he's doing. It's just a carnal thing, you know, like, hey, I'm excited, I'm going to hump your leg. But, you know, if that's what we de-evolve to here as humans, where, you know, everything's about our carnal lusts, and that's kind of where we're at, you know. Society is brainwashing us, you know. You get all these TV shows where it's all about self-satisfaction, you know, like, you know, I got to get mine, you know, I got to climb to the top of the ladder, and I don't care who I got to step over or step on to get there, you know. And you leave people behind that are in the streets dying and hungry and need food. You know, and then you watch these shows like on MTV where, you know, like Sweet 16, where parents are spending $1 million on some kid's birthday, you know, and once again, there's people all around them starving with no money. You know, it's all corrupt. You know, it's a system that can't be fixed. But, you know, that's where I feel about, you know, voting. You know, this election doesn't matter at all. You know, what really matters is God's will. And you know, the dark side, you know, just like in Star Wars, they'll tell you they're going to bring order, you know, through fear and intimidation and tyrannical, you know, methods, you know, of enslavement. But that's not the kind of order, and I'm telling you, ultimately it brings death and chaos, you know, and that's why the world is spiraling down into chaos. But the good news is, you know what? The world that we live in, it's not chaos. It's actually divine order. Everything has a purpose. But they want the chaos. They want the Occupy Wall Streeters to be out there throwing a garbage can through the window of your business or your house. You know, through chaos, it kind of destroys everything, you know, the divine order, you know, because it is a battle, you know, of good versus evil. And, evil wants to destroy the divine order. And once again, we end up with these parallel worlds, and you got to kind of figure out which one you want to be in, But they look very similar, So I'll give you some examples. Like, on the good side, what you'll hear is, hey, it's all about that you should pray. Pray to God, because all wisdom and understanding comes from God. But guess what? On the dark side, they also tell you, hey, pray. But it's not pray to God, because they don't believe in God, or they don't want you to pray to God. But when they say pray, they're saying pray on others. Like, if you don't want to be a victim, then you need to make sure that you're a hunter, and you need to prey on the downtrodden and take advantage of people, because that's how you get ahead. Once again, like another example is on the good side, we accept that nature, the way God created us and created the world, that's perfection. Whereas on the dark side, they're actually saying, hey, we need to perfect what's all around us. Like, the world isn't perfect, but we're going to make it perfect. Sounds pretty similar. Both sides are talking about perfection. So, that's kind of how that whole deceit thing works, is that both sides, have very similar messages, but there's distinct differences to how it all works. Like, on the good side, it's all about living for God, whereas on the bad side, it's like, hey, live for yourself, because you are God. So once again, some of us can't even see the difference, They're just like, what are you talking about? Some of us, our eyes are open. Some of us know that we're on one side, and some of us say, oh, I like that dark side stuff. And once again, I'm stupefied, because, if you ever watched any movies, the dark side never wins. They never do. So why would you want to join that side? And once again, the dark side will promise you anything. Riches, kids, a good job, because the dark side, once again, likes to feed your carnal lusts, and all that stuff sounds really good. It's like, oh man, I'm going to get a good job, I'm going to be famous, people are going to like me. So it's very easy to go down the dark side, because the menu they serve up to you is very tempting. Whereas on the good side, you really don't get those kinds of promises, It's a simple message, which is just, do what God wants you to do. And then the strange thing is, you actually get almost everything that you want, but you're not promised that. So if anybody is telling you, hey man, believe in God and you're going to get a new car or a great job, they're kind of lying to you. It's, once again, part of that deception. But, if you actually love God and, do everything to please Him, He'll give you everything you need, because that's kind of how it works. Why would God not want you to have what you need? But you can't actually pray to God for a bunch of materialistic things, because that's putting your heart, the treasures on the dark side, because you're kind of valuing materialism more than you are God. Because you'd be better off being penniless and broke and believing in God than being rich and powerful and having no God. There's nothing more terrifying. All these predictions that are out there about horrific stuff, a lot of people are like scared, going, oh, and they come up with concepts like, a magic carpet ride around it all, but it's all very scary. Nobody likes to be scared, but I'm going to tell you, here's the truth. The scariest thing that you could possibly imagine is life without God, being shut off from God. I'm telling you, at that point, you will be shaking in your shoes. So think about that. Just ponder it, because it's becoming very important that everybody figures out where they want to be. And, the other thing I'm kind of telling you is another false premise. The dark side will tell you this, is that, okay, you know what? You're at least wise enough to where you're saying you don't want to join the dark side because you've watched Star Wars and you saw that the evil emperor got his butt kicked at the end. But for some reason, you still think being on the good side, believing in God, is silly, because he's just some fairy tale, and I'm an educated person, and I'm not stupid enough to believe in God. So, you know what? I'm not going to be on the dark side, but I'm not stupid enough to believe in God. So I'm going to just, be in the middle, maybe an atheist and go about my life. Well, I'm going to tell you, that's another lie. There is no middle ground. There's no gray area. You can't just, be neutral. It doesn't work that way. So, you know, I'm going to kind of wrap it all on up. You know, we got incredible stuff right in front of us. And, you know, if your head's in the right place, you're going to see just a lot of positivity and good stuff. You know, like, God is working miracles, you know, but at the same time, you know, I'm telling you, I see, you know, the dark side at work too. You know, they're even, you know, trying to grab me here or there, you know. But, you know, people have said, hey, you only see what you want to see, and there's some truth to that. But it's kind of important that you make sure that you can, it's easy to see the evil, you know, and you can get sucked down into a pit seeing nothing but evil. So what you do want to do is try and see the good in the world, and you'll still see the evil happening, you know, because it's there too. But if you're getting yourself right with God, you know, miracles will be happening right in front of your face. And you know what? That's what I'm seeing every day. You know, just some really cool stuff is happening, you know, in my personal life and even around the world in the midst of all the chaos, you know. You know, there's a lot of people that are, you know, when your house gets blown down by a tornado and all of a sudden you have clarity where you're like, hey man, my house didn't even mean anything. I'm just so thankful to be alive, you know. That's you witnessing God happening right in front of your face, because he's waking you up, you know, saying, hey, don't build up earthly treasures, man, because they'll blow away in a heartbeat. You know, you came from dust, you'll return to dust. That's especially if you don't believe in God. Whereas all things are possible with God, you know, and there's a happy ending for all of us. So there's nothing to fear except for God. So, you know, if you don't have a relationship with God and have no idea of what I'm talking about, then, you know, take a time out of your busy life and, you know, maybe introduce yourself to him, you know. It's as easy as that, you know. Just say a little prayer and say, hey, God, it's me. Are you there? And you might be surprised at what happens, man. You might just get an answer. Just some things to think about, my friends, you know, versus getting caught up in all the hype in the movie itself, you know. See who's the actual producer behind the movie, you know, who actually, you know, the person that has the master plan, you know. So despite the dark side, you know, thinking that they can somehow overcome it all, they're fools, you know. But they're going to give it a try. And that's a little bit about what's unfolding out there. So anyway, you know what? I don't know. We've been having just the weirdest, spookiest weather here in San Jose. It's kind of drizzly, rainy. It's been cold. But you know what? That's what's been happening all around the world. You know, once again, it's just a sign of the two paradigms that are now kind of overlapping somewhat. But anyway, I'm going to think positive because, you know, I'll just tell you, in the last couple of days, I've had a bunch of just really cool, amazing stuff happen. I've been praying for a lot of people, and all of a sudden, you know, their lives are turning around and good things are happening. So, you know, that's the good news, man. So I'm going to go ahead and go out there and get my tribulation on, because I have the utmost faith, you know what, that I'm going to transit the tribulation, and there's a happy ending over there, you know. So think about what I said, ponder it all in your heart, and you know, if you're hearing all this other scary stuff on the news or watching YouTube with people saying, hey man, California's dropping in, you know, going to drop off the coast, you know, what you might do is just, you know, rather than get sucked into that whole, you know, negativity scene, you know, take a time out from your day and try and talk to God and see all the beautiful stuff that's happening. Alright, everybody take care. It's Tribulation 5/15/2011. We are fast approaching the 1-year window of my personal witness and testimony to the tribulation that has unfolded in front of me. Alright, everybody take care out there, and God bless y'all.